This is one of the blessings of being retired. You have a lot of freedom, and the Cubs are not playing tonight, and so I have a pretty light schedule, and I've done my workout today trying to get ready for the Sydney Marathon. In fact, I've already done one video and produced a daily reckoning, and Sister Girl Pam, she sends me information she think might be of interest, and so I was just made aware of a tragic death of a 1-year-old, and I want you to pay attention to this video. And I want you to ask these questions as you watch this video. Does what is being denied make sense? The person says they weren't shoplifting. Brothers and sisters, it doesn't pass the smell test. And so, brothers and sisters, I'm hoping you are able to think rationally, think critically. So in order for a worker to call the police, they're not going to do that willy-nilly because there's paperwork involved. You got to get corporate, and that makes more work for you. And so the police are called to alleged shoplifting. They encounter the person in the parking lot. She uses her car to try to escape. It approaches the officer, and whether right or wrong, that will be adjudicated in a court of law. He felt threatened, and he fired. Similar to what happened in Minnesota. And you see, no charges were placed against those officers because police officers have to make split-second decisions. But listen to this alleged account, and then I'm going to come back, and I want you to be ready to say, hey, Ricky, I believe her or I don't. Take a look.
See, it looks like tear gas has been deployed out now, so we're hoping our crews are staying safe, but we are working to get more information as I'm seeing it, as you are seeing it. But hundreds of people were gathered here, and law enforcement feels the need to do some crowd control and use their gas there. Our Lauren Turman, I'm really hoping she's staying safe through all of this, as well as our camera people, Kim and Autumn. So it's just a lot going on at this very moment. Lots of...
So, Pepper, we are backing up because we're starting to ingest a little bit of that tear gas at this point. But if you take a look over there, and Kim's going to try his best whilst remaining safe to make sure he gives you. Officers are kicking some of those pellets around, trying to clear people out of this area. You can see some of the gentlemen over there having masks on. Obviously, a lot of people, as you heard, were crowded around this Walmart, as you said on Sunday.
Of law enforcement in Senatobia, Mississippi. Can you please tell what happened?
It was me, my son, and another friend of mine was at Walmart. As we was leaving out the Walmart, they tried to stop her, but I kept walking because it had nothing to do with me. By the time me and my baby got in the car, she came, and then when we was backing up, they was running out the come. I raised my baby up because they withdrawed their gun. She has no tent. I raised my baby up trying to show them that he was in the car. So she was backing up and she hit a car as I was opening the door, so the door flew back in. By the time I sat my baby down, it was like 3 to 4 shots. One of the shots hit him in his rib cage, and the other shots hit her in her arm and her thigh. And we left and went to Senatobia hospital where he was pronounced dead. And they told me I wasn't gonna be able to see him until he get back from Jackson. She got airlifted, and the police told me I couldn't leave out the hospital until somewhere I couldn't leave out, couldn't nobody come in. But I ended up walking out, and the crowd was questioning them, asking them what happened. They was like, she was shoplifting, but the passenger, it was me. They wasn't talking about me. They was talking about the driver. But on the little, what's it called, self-checkout, they can see, it's cameras, they can see when she got the diapers and walked out. But yeah, they tried to say that she forcefully was trying to drive and hit them, but they was all on the right side, and she was driving towards the left. They just personally just shot in the car.
Did they try to charge you with anything?
No, they didn't charge me. They ain't charged me with nothing. They just let me go. And they didn't say nothing. They just kept telling the crowd that they was shoplifting. But I don't know if they found anything because it's nothing fine.
Okay.
So what do you say? Does that make sense? The mere fact that she held up her baby as if that's proof. Brothers and sisters, if everything she's saying is true, what the female would have done, she would have pulled over, taken out the receipt, and say, hey, this is a big misunderstanding. That's not what happened. And brothers and sisters, the Bible tells us this, and I know you don't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The Bible says evil company corrupts good habits. The Bible also says we reap what we sow. And let me ask you this. When I was a student, if my teacher said Ricky did A, B, and C, and then Ricky tried to tell James and Ethel he didn't do it, guess who my parents would believe? That's not to say parents, teachers can't lie and don't lie, they do. But absent of any clear evidence to the contrary, who did my parents give the benefit of the doubt? Well, I'm an adult. I understand the Bible. God has given us the government to punish evildoers. So who do I believe in this case? I believe the clerk who called the police. I believe the police who encountered this female. They might be found out that maybe they should have fired, but their account is they felt their lives were in jeopardy. The female was using her car as a weapon. This will not change because we are guilty of what one of George Bush's advisors, he came up with this phrase, it's the soft bigotry of low expectations. And so we don't demand much. Watch this video where they try to play both sides, and on one hand they say she didn't steal it, but they say even if she did, prices are too high, nobody's worth dying over a box of diapers. Brothers and sisters, I'm for law and order. And so just as and Carmelo Anthony, when you bring a knife, I don't care about what happens afterwards. Everything that happens after that is on you. The 14-year-old who brought a gun into a store with no money, everything that happens on after that is on him. The 75-year-old mother who went into a Tim Hortons and raised holy hell and ended up dying, that's on her. I'm for law and order. And yes, just as teachers can lie, police can lie. And police can abuse their roles. But brothers and sisters, you might take my joy, but you won't take away, you might take away my happiness, but you won't take away my joy. And so my daughter has just gotten me some Modelos for Father's Day. I'm going to enjoy that. She just sent me this picture of my grandson room, and it has a collection of memorabilia from our races and our time that we took a Papa grandson baseball trip this past April to Los Angeles to watch the Chicago Cubs. If you are looking for someone who will give you an analysis from a unapologetic evangelical worldview, then check out my channel. I I attempt to destroy arguments and lofty opinions raised against the knowledge of God, and I seek to bring it all into captivity to the Lordship of Jesus Christ. One of the reasons I'm going to be doing this video tonight is that I've been promising all week to do that feature on California. Probably won't get to New York, but I'm definitely going to do California through Governor Gavin Newsom, one of the earlier contenders for the 2028 presidential race from the Democratic Party. They have adopted a policy of allowing transgender, males to continue to participate in female sports. And what they have done is some mishmash of any race he wins, they give the closest competitor the same prize. So he won 2 first place and 1 third place. So for the first place, they gave the second place finisher a first place trophy. And the same thing for the 4th place finisher, they gave her a 3rd place. That's their compromise. We live in a world that people are now celebrating the Obama Center Library, whatever it's called. President Obama, I did that video. I encourage you to check it out. Brothers and sisters, evangelicals do not celebrate sin, and so we take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness. President Obama's administration, the entire 8 years, starting with gender, starting with marriage, continuing with marriage, let me back up. Starting with abortion, continuing with marriage, and then ending with gender. President Obama at the time was the most progressive pro-abortion president in American history, only to be eclipsed by Sleepy Joe. And it would have been the same thing under Kamala Harris. President Obama was the first president to have the White House portrayed in rainbow colors. President Obama, who argued for same-sex marriage before the United States Supreme Court in the Obergefell case. Brothers and sisters, it's getting late in the evening, and the sun is definitely going down. Christ is coming back for his church, but he's coming back for a church without a spot or wrinkle. He's not coming back for a church of people who align with abortion, same-sex marriage, and gender fluidity. You think you're on the narrow road, and you're not. I plead with you, I beg with you, repent and turn to Christ before it's too late. Well, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my beer. I'm going to make this video, and then I'm going to hit this hay and get ready for the training tomorrow. Tomorrow is my strength day, and I do what I call push-up supersets, I should say, and then I'm working on lower body. And then on Saturday, on the docket, 13.1 miles to get me ready for the Sydney Marathon, 73 days and a wake up. Hey, brothers and sisters, join me on this journey as I seek to finish my 4th quarter strong for the name and the majesty of Jesus Christ, my Lord. Well, I made the decision to kind of change it around, and so I'm going to show you 2 more clips and then have some additional comments. These are people who are trying to justify that maybe on one hand she did, but even if she didn't, it's not worth someone dying over. But they're trying to play both sides of the issue. So let's check out these next 2 videos.
Mississippi police shot and killed a 1-year-old black baby over an allegedly stolen box of diapers. 1 box of diapers to them was worth a baby's life. On June 14th, 1-year-old Cohen Wiley was in the car with his mother and aunt after they had left the Walmart carrying 1 box of diapers that were allegedly stolen. The police's response? Opened fire on their car in Walmart in the middle of the day in broad daylight, taking the life of that little baby and wounding his aunt. It's worth noting that reports on the ground are saying that that box of diapers wasn't even stolen. They bought it and had a receipt for it. But somebody had called saying it was stolen, and now that baby is gone. And his mother is grieving with no baby over a singular box of diapers. I don't care if they were stolen or not. A baby isn't worth a box of diapers. And do you know how desperate you have to be to steal diapers, much less a box of diapers? Just one? This is a system that cannot be reformed because this is a system doing what they think is its job. It is not to protect people. It is not to help people. It is not to offer aid. It is to...
I just got to jump in. So this is a perfect example of the bigotry of low expectations. So, brothers and sisters, hopefully you're thinking with me. If they had a receipt, don't you think it would have been shown by now? To make a mockery of the police, the clerk who called the police, where is this receipt? You see, you can't piss down my legs and then tell me it's raining. There is no receipt. I'm almost willing to bet your salvation, not mine's. But brothers and sisters, come on. If there was a receipt, common sense tells you, I don't know if that was a lawyer in that car with the mother, but a lawyer would gleefully produce this receipt. And now we're talking about the life not being worth a box of diapers. And she's leaving out the part where the police come. She tries to evade the police. And the police's allegation is she charged her vehicle. Even the mother said she got in the car, it backed up, and the door slammed. So it's moving at a high rate of speed. If I have a receipt, all I got to do is say, hey, officer, here's my receipt. And then the officer says, okay, yep, got it. He goes in, he talks to the store clerk and says, hey, there was some kind of misunderstanding. She did not walk out of the store with the diapers. Then watch this next clip.
I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm hurt, I'm heartbroken from continuing to have to hear these stories. And now a one-year-old over some diapers from Walmart? If you haven't heard about it on the news already, 1-year-old Cohen Wiley was unalived by police officers who were pursuing his mother and his mother's aunt for what was reported to be some stolen diapers from Walmart. Yes, a 1-year-old lost his life over some diapers. Now, there's been some conflicting arguments about the entire incident, whether or not diapers were stolen and the police pursuing them. But let me start off by saying this. If diapers were stolen, I wouldn't be mad at them. Because in the economy we're living in, you need to ask yourself why people have to steal diapers. People have been yelling from the top of their lungs that this economy in America is unlivable. You cannot access simple things like food, like basic needs, such as diapers. That is the problem we need to be solving for.
The thing is, it doesn't matter whether they stole that box of diapers. It doesn't matter whether they stole all the diapers in the store or took every single item out of that Walmart. In case anybody needed any more evidence that the police are not here to protect ordinary citizens, but are meant to protect capital and moneyed interests. Earlier this week, Mississippi police shot and killed a 1-year-old baby in a Walmart parking lot over a shoplifting call. There is not a single justification for what happened here. When officers arrived on the scene, they saw that there was a child going into the car that they later pursued and shot at. What's frustrating about conversations about police reform is that people will see this incident and say, well, those officers maybe just needed more training on how to handle situations like this. You're telling me that you need to train police officers not to shoot at a car that has a baby inside of it. This is not a one-off incident. The institution of policing cares much more about protecting capital than it does protecting people. And if a baby gets in their way of that mission, this is what happens. I don't know how you can look at a situation like this and say the institution of policing can be reformed. We can make this better. When this just lays bare the fundamental.
I don't know how to respond other than to say that is some of the stupidest commentary. And you see there are both TikTok videos. And listen, I'm not against people trying to get their voices heard in the public square. And that's the great thing about our country. And I'm doing the same thing. And I upload my videos to TikTok as well. And so nothing against TikTok. But you heard them, and they're even conceding, well, if it is, even if it was stolen, and then because it was stolen, and they're leaving out the part where she's driving her car, and again the police are going to give testimony, and guess who you think a court of law, all things being equal, who do you think the court of law, a jury is going to, an intelligent jury, a jury that's following the Constitution, who do you think the courts are going to listen to? The aunt that drove recklessly away when the police came to inquire about a allegation that somebody's shoplifting. And so they're trying to make it seem like they were innocent victims. And that young lady got into that car. She said in her own, I don't want to say testimony, but her own video, she says she kept walking. She walked to the car. The auntie eventually gets in. Then the police arrive. And then, brothers and sisters, if there was a receipt, that is the time to pull out the receipt and say, hey, it's a big misunderstanding. Now, if you would be patient with me, I do want to show you, I talked in that video, and I'm going to do this, get rid of this, and then I'll bring this in. It won't take that long because I got it uploaded. There we go. I'm going to bring in that picture. So this is my, and so you can take away my happiness. You won't take away my joy. And so my daughter, and she, again, she got me a steak and a case of Modelo's for Father's Day. And she sent me this picture. And this is a picture of my grandson's bedroom, and you see the picture of me and him at Dodger Stadium, and then every race that I run, I get him a magnet. They're refrigerator magnets, but she's putting them on her dresser, and you see that little 3D picture of me, and so that is Malachi's. My daughter says this is turning into Grandpa's Hall of Fame, and so that's where Malachi is enjoying life with Papa. Just wanted to show you that. And so, brothers and sisters, give me some feedback. Do you believe this mother? Do you believe the aunt? Do you agree with these last two contributors from TikTok and talking about the police are only here to protect capitalism? You heard two people, the sister and the Chinese individual, Asian, I'll just say that, don't know what particular ethnicity, but he says police are beyond reform. And he says it's not about training, and they shouldn't need training to fire, not to fire into a car with a baby. Brothers and sisters, I'm believing the police. I'm believing that auntie used her car as a weapon, either trying to escape or maybe even, because the officer is going to testify that he saw the car coming at him. I wasn't there. You weren't either. But what does the Bible tell me to do? The Bible tells me to submit to the government. That is not an absolute command. And so if there's evidence, and that's why most police departments are using body cams. And I'm sure Walmart is going to have a lot of video evidence, even about the purchase. Yet, maybe the camera can't catch everything. Put up the receipt. I dare somebody to produce that receipt. And I'm going on a limb. That mother is lying. And you know what else I know? That's not her first time. If I was king for a day, and it's a pet peeve, but so this might be me. I know it's not me. I know it's other people who go out in bonnets, but that's a personal thing. So if you found this God glorifying and man edifying, would you join the Thinking Critically family? You can do that, of course, by clicking like, subscribe, and notify in the various social media platforms. So tomorrow, I will try to cover that issue dealing with the transgender male. I talked about that in the one of the videos. Brothers and sisters, no, I don't have it, so I won't talk about it. So, Lord willing, I'm going to talk about this tomorrow, and then produce episode number 39. I produce what's called the Daily Reckoning. It's a 3-minute look at some biblical topic. I encourage you to check out my information, especially if you are interested in someone speaking from an evangelical perspective, especially from the Negro community. Well, keep your hands to the plow and seek to serve for an audience of one.